Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to make some fennel and sausage pasta. Fennel's a pretty good vegetable. It has a faintly licorice-like flavor. And if you like a little bit of crispy, crunchy with a little bit of sweet and aromatic, then this is probably a dish that you'll enjoy. So what you need for this is fennel, the whole bulb. For this size, I'm feeding a family of 6. I use 3 bulbs. You'll need some sea salt, olive oil, small bite-sized pasta. I used farfalle. And you'll also want to get a hold of some mild Italian sausage. If you want to kick up the flavor a little bit, you can go with a spicy sausage. But if you want to really have the fennel flavor stand out, which is supposed to be the star of the dish in the first place, you want to go with something mild. We're not going to overwhelm it with garlic or anything else like that. We're just going to be doing fennel, pasta, and sausage. So tool-wise, since I'm feeding it for a family of 6, we have to use a bigger dish. So I'm going to use a wok to cook in. If you need a smaller skillet, or if you have a smaller skillet and you're not feeding as many people, then by all means, you're using it to saute, and then we're going to toss the pasta at the end. You'll also want to have a cutting board and a knife on hand because we have to chop the bulb down into thinly sliced pieces so that it sautés well and evenly. You can also use a mandolin if you're used to cutting with something like that, but be mindful you need these, so don't chop those off. You're also going to have to get something to store all of your different ingredients into, so some small bowls. I use 2 or 3 bowls just based off of how I'm going to toss the fronds in later on. And that's pretty much it. Oh, something to stir with. We're going to start out by paring down the vegetable itself because it comes with these large stalks. It's pretty long. Has a bulb on the bottom of it. So we're going to separate the fronds from the stalks and the stalks from the bulb. We'll start by chopping the stalks off, cleaning off the bulb, rinse it off in your sink, and then we will take it over, chop it in half, thinly slice each of the halves of it, set that aside into a bowl. With the stalks, you're going to peel off the fronds, which are the teeny tiny portions of it, put those into a separate storage container, into a bowl or something like that, because we're going to save those for later. The big stalks, I stick into my stock pot where I'm boiling my water for my pasta. So before the water comes up to a boil, I'll have those in there. They'll leach out a little bit more of that flavor into the pasta water. Make sure that when you put your water on for a boil though, you do add a generous bit of salt. Make sure you taste it too. The old adage is it should be salty as the sea. You don't really need to add any oils to the water. If you just stir your pasta water with your pasta in it continuously, you won't run into any issues of it sticking unless you neglect it and walk away from it. And in that case, you're gonna have stuck pasta. But if you don't add oil to the water, you will end up with the flavor sticking to the pasta better. So I choose not to add any oils to my water. So once you've thinly sliced your pasta, or correction, once you've thinly sliced your fennel, you'll then put all that inside into the bowl. Once you get done with all the bulbs, you will then toss that in a little bit of olive oil and salt. But then we'll take the Italian sausage, put that into our wok, and start breaking it up. You want it to be into small bite-sized chunks, so you're gonna have to chop that with your wooden spatula for a little bit and saute it until it's done. So once that's finished, we'll take that off, put that into the same bowl as our fronds from our fennel, and toss that around so it's evenly mixed together. In the same wok or skillet that we just cooked our meat in, we will now bring our fennel that's been resting in the olive oil and salt into that skillet, and we'll begin to cook that down. let that cook for a couple minutes until it starts to soften. And once it's pretty much done, good amount of softness and flexibility, it'll wiggle around to be, you know, soft. It's similar to sautéing an onion or chopped celery. It has a very similar texture to both those, not quite as stringy as celery would be, but it's got the similar characteristic to it. So if you're wondering what the mouthfeel is going to be like, imagine one of those two things, like a hybrid of the two. So we'll cook that down, and once that is almost entirely done, we will add back our meat and our fennel fronds in there. So it's got those little tiny leaves of it, which we chopped up and put in there with the meat. We'll toss that all together to get it mixing. And once our pasta has finished cooking, once it's almost entirely done, we can pull our pasta out, drain it, and add that to the mix. And while with the skillet still on and warming, toss it all together. And that's how you make it. So once you've got it all tossed together and evenly distributed and coated, you can begin to plate it out. And as you can see here, we've, you know, mixed a couple of those pieces in together. We'll grab a little bit of everything here and give it a try. I'm gonna let my oldest daughter give it a shot, so. Let's see what I think.
It's good, isn't it?
Pretty fantastic. Hope you enjoy.